İyi akşamlar diliyoruz değerli konuklarımız. Türk Müziği Akademik Çevresi'nin 2022-2023 akademik yılı etkinliklerinden yine e, önemli bir etkinliğe hoş geldiniz. E, Bu etkinlik bizim Türk Müziği Akademik Çevresi'nin bilim sanat etkinliklerinin aynı zamanda 33. etkinliği. Ve kıymetli meslektaşımız ve uzun yıllardır dostum olan kıymetli hocamız Giultakin Shamilli'yi bugün ağırlamaktan da büyük bir onur duyuyoruz. Giultakin Shamilli hocamız Moskova Devlet Sanat Bilimi Enstitüsü'nde uzman araştırmacı olarak görev yapmakta uzun yıllardır ve bu coğrafyanın en seçkin araştırmacılarından biri, özellikle müzik teorisi ve müzik tarihi alanlarında. Kendisinin bu akşamki konuşma başlığı Introduction to Dastgah Phenomenon, Music and Language yapısını taşıyor. İngilizce olarak hocamız sunumunu gerçekleştirecek ama özellikle tartışma anlamında Türkçe, kendisi Azeri, Türkçesine hakim olduğu için özellikle tartışma bölümünde Azeri Türkçesi üzerinden de sohbetlerimiz olabilecek. Ben de zaman zaman belki ufak açıklamalarla bu bağlamda ortak bir çerçevede birleşmemiz açısından destek olmaya çalışacağım. Küçük bir hatırlatıcı duyurumuz olacak. Sevgili Güzel Tuymova hocamız, bu etkinliğin oluşmasında çok önemli bir pay sahibi. Maalesef bölgedeki şartlar nedeniyle bir süredir bu etkinliği ertelemek durumunda kalmış idik. Ama yine hocamızın çabaları ve kıymetli TUMAC ailemizin ve yetkililerimizin gayretleriyle bu etkinliği bugün yapma fırsatı bulduk. Güzel Tuymova hocamıza da bu anlamda TUMAC ailesi adına gönülden şükranlar. Tonight, we are very honored to have Professor Giultakin Shamilli as our special guest for tonight's TUMAC meeting. It's our 33rd meeting, scientific meeting. So we are very honored to reach this number with this very important speech of Professor Shamilli. We'd like to thank especially to dear Dr. Güzel Tuymova for making this event possible, for making this connection. Unfortunately, we have to postpone this event for some time because of the unusual conditions in the geography. So it is our honor and chance to design and perform this event for tonight. The topic of the event is Introduction to Dastgah Phenomenon, Music and Language. Brief CV of our family. The way, I'd like to wish you a very happy Ramazan month too. Ramazan ayınızda kutlu olsun diliyorum. Kutlu olsun diyorum değerli dostlarımız. Brief CV of Professor Shamilli now. Dr. Giultakin Shamilli is a leading researcher of the State Institute for Art Studies in Ministry of Culture. She holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Musicology from Russian Gnesin Academy of Music, dated to 1997, and another Doctorate of Sciences in Art History from the State Institute for Art Studies, dated to 2010. She authored 14 books, including commented translations of medieval treatises on music, and she authored about 100 original articles. She was gratitude for her great contribution to the development of culture and long-term fruitful work by the Russian Federation Ministry of Culture in 2019. Her research interests include Iranian Dastgah and art of Makam, liturgy and history of Middle Eastern Jewish diasporas, manuscripts of music in Persian, Arabic, Turkish, and Azeri Turkish, and also music, language, and cognition. Her last publications include the classical tradition of Iranian music at the Royal Road Stations that has been published in Bulletin of the International Institute for Central Asian Studies by UNESCO. Another one is the Introduction to Studying the Jewish Musical Heritage of Persia and Caucasus. This was published in memory of dear Bruno Nedel in a book entitled as Art Culture, and it is published in Russian. And the final example of her latest studies is entitled as Philosophy on Music, Theory and Practice, the Art of Makam, published in Moscow as a publication of Languages of Slavic Cultures, again published in Russian. Orçun Güneşer and Serkan Günalçın for this broadcast and the poster design. She permits me, I'd like to Professor Giultakin Shamilli for his very interesting speech. Here you are, dear Professor, the stage is yours. Thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thank you very much, Professor Cenk Güray. İyi akşamlar, aziz dostlar. Mən Professor Cenk Güray'a və Doktor Güzel Tuymuyeva'ya öz səmimi təşəkkürlərimi bildirmək istərdim. Yəni, icazənizlə mən məruzəmi İngilis dilində davam etdirmək istərdim. Thanks for having me today. I'm happy to be with you this evening to give a talk about introduction to Dastgah Phenomenon with music and language point of view. And I would like to begin my lecture with idea that there is no reason to search tetrahedral structures in the sound scale of Dastgah compositions. Also, we have tremendous experience and many books on Iranian music that analyzes Dastgah phenomenon as consisting from tetrahedral structures. Now we see the sound scale of Dastgah Shur. This is a version of Mahmud Karimi, his vocal Radif, and we see that there is only one basic structure, and this is interval, but not tetrahedral. And I understand that this is a topic and this is item of other lecture, but I'm not going to talk about theoretical aspects of Dastgah phenomenon today. And I'm going to answer the question, what is Dastgah? And what is Dastgah as a word, and having two meanings, literary meaning and terminological meaning. As a Persian word, Dastgah consists from two parts. Dast means hand and fullness of something, and gah means place. As a musical term, we can set about Dastgah since the middle of 17th century. And Dastgah is the melodic wholeness. This is main sense of Dastgah tone. And there's a reason to consider Dastgah in connection with Makam, of course. Ancient Aramaic, Hebrew, Babylonian, and later Arabic musical term that was appeared in the 14th century Persian treatise on music of Kutbuddin Shirazi, in a sense of the harmonic scale. Makam, as in literally means place, location, and station, but as a term means the harmonic scale, and the second sense is the place of finger on the instrument. And when we look at the ancient pictures, ancient reliefs, and the musicians who play tar, instruments like tar, and look at his finger, we understand that term makam was revealed in oral, not written, but oral musical practice since ancient time. And to understand why a basic interval but not tetrachord, I suggest to listen to a little fragment from Dastgah to understand the formation of the melody from short musical phrases, like jumla. Let's listen to Parisa, the great Iranian singer. As a compositional model, the Dastgah can be investigated through the instrumental and vocal historical performance schools in the territory of Middle East, and we can understand this phenomenon as supra-ethnic and supra-religious, of course. And as historical schools, we see the location of Dastgah schools from Baku to Shiraz and from Mashhad to Baghdad. And at the same time, these are not only performing schools, but at the same time, the type of thinking in music. And there are some notes to unresolved issues connecting with a historical background of Dastgah phenomena, especially from language and music relation point of view. In Achaemenid and Sassanid periods, and the second step I would like to turn your attention is the names of melodies. I show that you know this map very well. This is royal stations in Royal Vale, in Achaemenid's Royal Way from Sars, Izmir, through the Erbil, through the Opis, that is modern Baghdad, to Persepolis. The historical prerequisites for the formation of the classical tradition in Iranian music during the Achaemenid and Sassanid dynasties were formed when the linguistic environmental conditions of the local musical heritage for the ancestral Indo-Iranian tribes was being remelted and refused. This occurred in the sound space of the cosmopolitan palatal, vocal, and instrumental music within ancient Mesopotamian civilizations over a long period. The established fact of ancient Iranian art history at the royal stations in general enable us to understand the realities of the modern musical classics, or Musiqi Dastgah. These are inseparably linked to the antiquity, via the tradition of preservation and transmission of information from one generation to another through the system of professional teacher-pupil musical education. It's known that ancient Achaemenid art as a whole represented a blend of many elements of various origin, and that this is not strange since materials and artisans were brought from all provinces, from more than 20 satrapies. These are followed various old and firm traditions to a considerable extent, those of all the Near Eastern art, and was eclectic in taking over foreign features. The persons who expressed tolerance of religions of the nations they conquered adopted Mesopotamian beliefs and cults, like heroes who restored the former position of the Babylonian Marduk cult, and Darius, who excelled to tolerance of the cultural religious heterogeneity of the peoples of the empire. This benefited the Egyptians, Greeks, Babylonians, and Jews, to whom Darius confirmed the return to Jerusalem and the reconstruction of the temple granted by Cyrus. Moreover, the speakers of the Old Persian language were a minority in the empire, and their language had no literary tradition, which made it difficult to use as an administrative language of the power. which united the entire Middle East and the Eastern Mediterranean under its control. As is known, the Persian conquerors did not claim cultural supremacy in the state which they formed. While palatal music is cosmopolitan and suggests a language of interethnic communication, priestly music is conservative and uses languages of local religious cults and sacred books, in particular the language of Avesta, whose speakers were previously roaming the east coast of Caspian Sea. The military aristocracy preferred the lingua franca due to its diverse ethnic component, while urban and rural folklore used the local languages depending on the dominance of one or another ethno-regional group. The linguistic community as a means of communication among the people of Achaemenid Empire formed around the basis of Imperial Aramaic. Its relevance, along with Hebrew, persisted in the palatal art until the last Sassanid Empire. The palates of the Sassanids, or Second Persians, in according of Masudi, revived their former empire after the Achaemenids, just prior to the Muslim invasion. They were still maintaining its connection to the Jewish Aramaic Babylonian language, which had persisted since the founder of the Persian dynasty, Sassan, was born of Hebrew slave girl Rahab, a daughter of Shamilli'nin of King David's stock. Much later, the Babylonian language was retained by the generations of rules from the lineage of Shahin Shah Bahram Gur, grandson of the Jewish exiles, Hunabar Natan, son of Shushanducht and Yazdegerd I, who sent his son to the royal Lakhmid dynasty in Hira to learn the Arabic music and poetry that perturbed the sophisticated magians. The extensive literature in the various Aramaic dialects of later times result from the widespread use of Old Aramaic language in everyday practice over a long period of history. Western Aramaic Koine, so-called Imperial Aramaic, became the lingua franca and the official clerical language of the entire Persian power. Aramaic formed the basis of the ancient Iranian languages and was later transformed into the Avestan for reading the Avesta and conducting liturgy. The written tradition of Aramaic has come down in the corpus of monuments from Near Eastern literature. Against this background, the Iranian group of languages retained their local status. None of them became the language of inter-ethnic communication. Evolution of New Persian took place against a background of rapid absorption by Arabic linguistic vocabulary with radical changes in themes and literary styles induced by the Arab conquest. The style of palatal music at the railroad encampments was still regulated by the Semitic phonosphere of the big cities, which preserved the ancient tradition of worshiping Marduk in Shusha, the goddess of Ishtar in Erbil, and others. Besides, in the nations living in the territory of modern Iran, assimilated and preserved in Aramaic languages over a long period, from Old Aramaic and Imperial Aramaic to Syriac, and the new Aramaic dialects found not only in Iran but also in Iraq, in the South Caucasus, in Syria, and at the southern borders of Turkey. Nothing similar occurred in the eastern frontiers of the empire. It can be assumed that the ancient city of Opis played an important role in the process of division of the classical musical tradition in its western and eastern branches, presenting contrasting types of thinking. Absorbed territorially by Sassanid Ctesiphon and later by modern Baghdad, it preserves the local traditions mixed with Achaemenid cultural and religious cosmopolitanism in continuity with the later Indo-Iranian cultural substrate. The western branch led through the Susa, Babylon, Opis, and Erbil to Lydian Sarda, while the eastern branch turned from Opis to Ekbatana or Hamadan, modern Hamadan, and Israel in the Central Asia all the way to the northern borders of China. How all I have just said connect with melodic names of 12 Dastgah. You see the result of analyzing Dastgah Nava that consists from 29 tunes in the version of Murtuzaneh Dawood, the founder of instrumental school of Iranian Dastgah. And the name of melodies, we can group these melodies grouped on and divide on three groups. The first one connect with genres, forms, types of music making, place in the compositional hall, and rhythmical peculiarities. The second one connect with biblical, historical, literary, and mythological names. And the third one connect with geographical names or cities, villages, regions, and landscapes. And it's a very interesting topic for separate lecture, I think. But what I can say in this field of my lecture, in this part of my lecture, the first group of melodies, Dastgah Nava, consists from Daramad, Persian introduction, Avaz, Persian vocal, Chahar Mizrab, Persian 4 strokes by the plectrum, Naghma, that means Arabic instrumental, and Kerishma, Persian flicker of the rhythm. The second group of melodies, Mohber means Arabic leader, Hazin, Persian sad, Malek Hosseini, Persian landowner Hosseini. Let's listen to this. Abu Salik, Arabic father of Salik, Asheran, Old Hebrew Aramaic Asher, Rahab, Old Hebrew Aramaic Rahab, Masihi, Persian Christian, Khojeste Persian happy, and Shah Hatayi Persian Shah Hatayi, of course. Let's listen. And finally, Nastari, Persian rose of Briar or rose heap. Nahoft, heeding the act of cancelling, is one of the 102 islands within Urmia Lake, which separated eastern and western Azerbaijan, Iranian Azerbaijan. Nahoft. The next Bayat Raja, Bayat, Old Hebrew Aramaic, two houses. Bait means house, Bayat in Aramaic, plural, two houses, are village located on two sides of Urmia Lake in eastern and western Iranian Azerbaijan. Ushak, that means flowers, is village in the province of Hamadan, Old Ekbatana. Arak, Arabic territory or coast, is the name of the historical region and country of Iraq. Zangul Arabic Bells is a village in the province of Luristan, Iranian Luristan. Nishapur, that means from Persian Shapur's flute, is a city in the province of Iranian Khorasan. Zamine Hosseini, from Persian Hosseini's area, is a village in the province of Isfahan. And finally, Neyriz Sahir, from Arabic small Neyriz, is a village in the Fars province of Iran. The name of Nawar, Persian from melody tune, refers to the Syrian city where, according to legend, Job lives and Noah son Shem is born. It is also the location of long-standing Jewish communities that flourished in antiquity. The sequence of Shur sounds, Shur as sound scale, that brings the melodies of composition together in the paradigmatic system indicates Shur or Hebrew Shur, meaning wall, on Egypt's northernmost border in the desert from Egypt to Philistia. The Persian dictionary defines the word Shur as excitement, confusion, and passion, and alludes to the image of the calf or a bull, Shur, as a beautiful creature, therefore likened to Jacob's favorite. It is to Yosef, while on the verge of life and death, that the Persian treatise on music on the 18th century, Bahjat al-Gulub, Gladness of Hearts, refers to the aforementioned Makam Arak, which is simultaneously the melody played in the Dastgah Phenomenon we have just listened. Arak. While Persian, Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic words are present in the names of the compositions, melodies, not a single ancient Greek loan word is found. Indeed, in the conditions surrounding the hostility of pre-Islamic Iran towards Alexander the Great, as well as the permanent remembrance of the destruction from the Greco-Persian wars, intensified by the widespread burning of the Avesta sacred for Zoroastrianism, which destroyed the already scarce written literature, one could hardly expect that political and cultural contacts with the ancient Greek civilization would leave a mark in the names of melodies from the Western Iranian classical tradition, or in the foundational principles of the high musical heritage in the historian Eastern Iranian Empire, being far from the salt that produced the tetrachord structures of Khwarezm, salt, and bacteria. Thanks for your attention, and I would like to finish with information about my article, The Classical Tradition of Iranian Music at the Railroad Station. This article was published in the bulletin of the International Institute of Central Asia Studies in 2022. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Shamilli. It was a very interesting speech regarding the historical background of Dastgah culture, also giving a great emphasis on the symbolic side and the belief side of it, which is also very interesting for many scholars working on this aspect in Turkey and in other countries, of course. And also you have given some technical examples regarding the performance of these Dastgah structures. These were also very, very interesting. I think there can be some questions regarding your presentation. Maybe we can for it now. Değerli konuklar, sorularımız varsa onları da rahatlıkla alabiliriz. Şu an YouTube üzerinden de bakmaya gayret ediyorum. Değerli Gültekin Şamilli hocamız çok enteresan bir sunum yaptı. Özellikle bu Dastgah geleneğinin hani sözel, kültürel anlamlarından başlayıp onun o tarihsel geçmişine değindi. Hatta isim nereden geldiğine dair, bu isim yapılarının ve nasıl bir sembolik anlam dünyasına dayandığına dair çok kritik çıkarımlar yaptı. Bir kısmını ben ilk defa hani fark ettim bu çıkarımların. Gerçekten çok faydalandım. Bunun yanında tarihsel süreç içinde bu kültürün antik dönemden itibaren nasıl bugüne geldiğiyle alakalı da çok enteresan belgelerle e, bilgilerini aktardı ve tabii ki çok enteresan yine dinleme örnekleriyle bu dastgahların duyuluşuna dair de bilgileri bize aktardı. Çok önemli çalışmalarını zaten takip ediyoruz. Kendisinden dinlemek bunları bizim için çok güzeldi. Sorularınız olabilir. Onları şu an için almaya çalışabiliriz değerli hocalarım, e, değerli katılımcılar. O zaman belki ben bir hani soru sorabilirim başlangıç açısından, sonradan belki farklı sorular eklenecektir. Özellikle iki nokta kıymetli Gültekin Hocam. Bir kere bu dastgah yapılarının antik dönemden itibaren çok güçlü bir sembolik aktarım zinciriyle geldiğini gözlemleyebiliyoruz aktarımınızdan. Ee, Bu coğrafya özellikle eski Mezopotamya coğrafyasına mı gönderme yapar? Yani eski Mezopotamya geleneklerine dair pek çok bilgi paylaştınız. İran'a doğru gelişte ve eski inanç sistemleri, eski tanrılar ve eski enstrümanlar esasında bunun bileşenleri. Dolayısıyla buradaki ana aktarım merkezi olarak eski Mezopotamya'yı mı görmek lazım? uh, is the ancient Mesopotamia geography is the real source for this Dastgah culture in the ancient background? Can we say so, or can we comment? Can we discuss it in another way? What do you think?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for your question. I think that really modern Iranian Dastgah music was highly influenced by Mesopotamian musical experience and Mesopotamian musical culture and from Semitic phonosphere. And I can say that if modern Iranian singers, Dastgah performers sing this music on Farsi, as a language of Indo-European groups, they at the same time sing on the Semitic language group. It's very interesting dualism in the Dastgah phenomena between singing and thinking. And it is very hot topic and very interesting topic. I am ready to protect my idea in next lecture.
Bağlantıya yine dikkat çekti hocamız ve özellikle söyleme ya da icra etme geleneğiyle düşünme geleneği arasında çok güçlü bir sembolik bağ kurduğunu dastgahların tekrar ifade etti. Sanırım bu bütün o coğrafya için geçerli bir mesele. Yani müzik üzerinden düşünme ve evreni anlama meselesi esasında. Burada ta eski çok tanrılı dönemlerden itibaren tabiatı anlama, insan ve tabiat arasında ilişki kurma adına da müziğin çok ciddi bir kullanım alanını teşkil etmiş, oluşturmuş. Ve dolayısıyla bu gelenekte bunların izlerini aynı makam geleneği gibi tabii ki gözlemleyebiliyoruz rahatlıkla sanırım. Ve ikinci belki benim sorum gelebilir değerli hocam. Acaba icra açısından makam kültürü ve dastgah kültürü arasındaki temel benzerlik ve farklılıkları ilk aşamada nasıl yorumlarsınız? Yani çok icraya yönelmedi sunumunuz ama yine de hani bir öngörü olarak bu noktada belki bir ön bir bilgi alabiliriz. Sonra başka bir sunum belki bununla ilgili düşünebiliriz. Buradaki temel farklılıklar, benzerlikler, teorik olarak ve icra olarak acaba neler üzerinde durulabilir?
Siz hansı benzerliklerden danışıyorsunuz? Yani ki konuşuyorsunuz?
Mesela müzikal benzerlikler. Yapısal olarak bir makam müziği örneği, bir dastgah müziği örneğiyle tamamıyla aynı olarak değerlendirilebilir mi? Yoksa burada ezgisel açıdan ya da form açısından farklılıklardan bahsedilebilir mi? Mesela icra olarak aynı isimdeki bir dastgahla aynı isimdeki benzer isimdeki benzer yapıdaki bir makam arasındaki belirli seyir farklılıkları duyabiliyoruz. Mesela ya da şöyle bazı durumlarda bir makam sadece kendine has bir ezgi karakteri üretirken bir dastgah kendi içinde birden fazla makam karakterini barındırabiliyor. Çok katmanlı belki diyebiliriz. Multi-layered diye belki tabir edebiliriz. Hani bu özelliklerden benim en fazla dikkatimi çekenlerden başlayarak başka nasıl farklılıklar veya benzerlikler olabilir?
Evet, çok meraklı sualdı. O doğrudan da makamlar, hansısa bir makamlar, yani ki bir atta olan makamlar bizim için tamamıyla bir nece diyorlar, tamamıyla bir ayrı ve tamamıyla bir kontrast olarak simalarında eşitilebilir. Ve bu tezahür, mən deyə bilərəm ki, makamların, yəni ki, dəzgah məktəblərdən də asılıdır. Məsəl üçün, bir avaz ki, rast adında avaz, məsəl üçün, Azərbaycanda oxumaqda və İranda oxumaqdan və həmçinin İraqda oxumaqda bizim üçün tamamilə bir ayrı və kontrast simalarında səslənir. Onu da demək istərdim ki, doğrudan da bu adları araştıraraq biz həmişə və hər zaman bu adlar hansı dəstgahda və hansı məktəbdə büruzə olunub və çalınır. Biz bu cəhəti mütləq nəzərdə tutmalıyıq.
Hocam hem Gültekin hocamız hem sorduğumuz hani meseleyi tabii aydınlattı. Aynı zamanda da farklı bir noktayı da gösterdi. Bölgelere göre de değişiklikler var. Hani alanlara ve okullara göre de değişiklikler var. İran, Irak gibi bölgelerde de dastgahlar arasında farklılıklar var. Dolayısıyla bu ekollerin göz önüne alınarak yorumlanması gerekiyor. Bu da enteresan bir çeşitlilik.
Bəli.
Aynen hocam. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz hocam. Dave Fossum'un da benzer bir sorusu varmış. Sanırım kıymetli Dave Hoca burada belki yani cevabımızı almış olduk sanırım. Ama ek bir ekleyeceğiniz varsa buradan tekrar alabiliriz kıymetli Dave Hocam. Recep Uslu Hocam'ın bir sorusu var kıymetli Gültekin Hocam. Destgah teorisi ile Meragi'nin teorisi arasında nasıl bir benzerlik vardır? Böyle bir sorusu var Recep Uslu Hocamızın.
Bu çok büyük bir çetin sualdı. İcazenizle mən İngiliz dilində cavab verərdim.
Tabii ki, nasıl isterseniz.
Və ya da bəlkə Azərbaycanca davam etdirərdim. Problem ondadır ki, Məragi, Abdülkadir Məragi bizim için 17 hissədən olan qəzəli təsvir edir və bu qəzəlin forması doğrudan da bir dəstgahın mənbəyi kimi, dəstgahın tarixdə olan bir hansısa bir inkişaf olan mərhələsi kimi bizim için anlamaktadır. Amma sırf nəzəriyə gələndə mən onu demək istərdim ki, Abdülqadirin nəzəriyyəsi və Səfəddin Ürməvi nəzəriyyəsi ilə məncə həm ilişkiləri həm də böyük bir kontrastlıq, yəni ki, ayrılıq, fikir ayrılığı mən görürəm ve bu fikir yani ki yanaşma, elm yanaşması nöqteyi nəzərdən bu tamamilə məncə ayrı bir nəzəriyyə, dəstgah nəzəriyyəsidir. Abdülmərahinin nəzəriyyəsi məncə daha çox Türk məqamlarla ilişkilidir. Və bu nöqteyi nəzər mən demək istərdim ki, çox maraqlıdır və mənim üçün də çox maraqlıdır. Amma mən bugünkü günlərdə, yəni ki, mənim üçün mümkün deyil hansısa bir nəticəyə gəlmək və hansısa bir fikri irəli sürmək bu nöqteyi nəzərdən. Çünki bu əl yazma bu risalələr həmin bu fikirdən anlaşmalı və istintaq olmalıdır, mütləq. I'm not ready to answer this question now because I really see the different scientific approaches between Safeddin Urmevi and Abdelkadir Maragi, in spite of Maragi can be understood as a pupil of Safeddin, yes, as a spiritual pupil there. But there is really methodological and scientific approach, really big problems about which I think we can think today and make some researchers to prove this and to protect this point of view. I'm not ready to answer this question now.
Thank you, Giultakin Hocam. In fact, you have already gave some answers about that. For example, the interesting remark about Abdülkadir Meragi's concentration on Turkish makams was very interesting, was extremely interesting for us, I think, because Abdülkadir Meragi is addicted, on behalf of Turkish Academy, maybe. Abdülkadir Meragi is standing at the center of Iranian and Turkish makam styles. But in fact, as you have remarked, he is much more concentrated on Turkish side of makam culture, other than the Dastgah culture. So I think this remark only by itself is a great key for the future researchers. So thank you very much for that. Hocamızın hani dediği gibi geniş cevaplanması gereken bir konu ama Abdülkadir Meragi'nin biraz daha Türk makamlarına doğru eğilmesine dair fikri bile bir işaret olabilir buradaki tartışmayla ilgili.
Evet.
Gereken bir durum bu. Bir soru da Ali İhsan Alemli hocamızdan. İyi akşamlar, iyi yayınlar. Mehdi Kulu Hidayet Destgah geleneğinin nevbeti müretteb ile bağlantılı olduğunu söylemektedir. Mehdi Kulu Hidayet says that the Dastgah tradition is related to nevbeti müretteb tradition. He asks about your ideas on this topic, whether they are related or not.
We know about Nöbet Muratap from Abdülkadir Meragi, of course. He added the prefix part to Nöbet. And from this point of view, yes, we can say that Nöbet Muratap is Dastgah, but it's only not deeper reason to. I don't see a deeper reason to compare this phenomenon. because it's only external but not internal reason to understand this phenomenon that way. But yes, why not? Why not? If we say that Dastgah is multi-partal and multimodal composition, why not to see the No.33 as a search for Dastgah music? Why not? But it is not only reason to speak that and to understand No.33 that way.
Thank you very much, Giultakin Hocam. I think we can maybe comment on this answer with a small summary, depending on your thoughts. It is very natural that it's very normal that Nevbeti Müretteb is related to Dastgah, because it can be thought of as a kind of Dastgah, maybe. By referring to its form, structure, it is very close to a Dastgah structure. It should be, and because of that, yes, they are very close. But in fact, in Nevbeti Müretteb, there are other details according maybe with respect to their rhythmic characters or with respect to other symbolic structures that are used in Nevbeti Müretteb. So it cannot be solely depending on Dastgah. It is some kind of a broader aspect, maybe, as I understand from your discussion. But of course, they have a relation.
Yes, of course. We can hear metrical lines and metrical structures in Dastgah. Why not? Such as avaz, unmetrical, and tasnif, vocal instrumental genre, or rank, metrical genre in a metrical instrumental form in the Dastgah structure. Yes, of course, it's possible to compare, but from musical thinking point of view, I'm not ready to speak that this phenomenon have the same origin and the same nature.
Hocam. Elbette ki bağlantı var yapısal olarak, özellikle belki ezgi sanatlar adına, ama tabii ki ikisinin farklı özellikleri de var. Nevbeti Müretteb daha farklı bir form yapısı da içeriyor. Dastgah'a dayansa da daha farklı bir düzlemde açıklanması gerekir. Bu konuyla ilgili bu şekilde Ali İhsan Alemli hocamız, çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Dave Fossum hocamızdan bir ek soru. Bu bölgedeki daha eski ezgisel gelenekler ile çağdaş dastgahların arasında bir ilişki var mıdır? Nasıl bir ilişki görüyorsunuz? Melodilerin isimlerinden ayrı olarak. Hani not concentrating on the names only, can we say that there is a relation between the old melodic traditions and the contemporary Dastgah relation? Free from the names. Is there a structural or melodic relation between them?
Yes, of course. It is impossible to say only about names, but I did it only to speak about one problem, that is relation between music and language in the ancient period of Iranian classical music. Only that reason. But of course, it isn't that we should do only comparative analysis of melodies and the name of melodies, etc., etc. It isn't important when we analyze Dastgah music at how. And of course, usually we compare Iranian Dastgah with Azerbaijani Dastgah, and it's very interesting. Two great traditions, which divided by Azerbaijani and Persian languages only. But these traditions have one root, and it's very interesting field of research, comparative analysis of Dastgah, of course. And not only Dastgah genre, but at the same time, Makam of Iraqi is very interesting phenomena for compare it with Dastgah phenomenon, because Baghdad was one of the instrumental and school not only Iranian but Near Asia classical music, at how I think. Yes, of course. I agree with this point of view and with this position.
Thank you very much, Giultakin Hocam. We can easily say that, yes, there is a strong relation between the old melodic traditions and the contemporary Dastgah structures. Of course, the presentation was mainly oriented on the historical database and the symbolic meanings of these Dastgah structures and their tradition, their historical background. But of course, it is very, if we can strictly say that, of course, there is a strong relation between the ancient melodic types and the current melodic lines. Çok teşekkürler Giultakin Hocam. Demirtaş, he says, thank you for the presentation, Giultakin Hocam. In relation with the geographical locations pointed out by the names of the Dastgahs, is it possible to trace particular regional traditions of ancient music through these names based on the written sources? Connection between the regional traditions of ancient music with the names of the Dastgah structures. Some mentions about that, but can we maybe make it broaden? Can we broaden it a bit?
I don't know any research on this topic without one article of Arthur Christensen's, and my approach is second in this field. I can say only that we had to make some steps in this way to have any conclusions. Mm-hmm. Okay. But we haven't now.
Yes.
Anything.
Of course, there is a possibility. There is such a possibility, of course. But I think further studies on this should be made, I think, on this topic to be able to answer this question in a clear way.
It's a very interesting commentary.
Yes. Yes.
Really very interesting commentary, but I think that we need very deep and very complicated comparative researches. We need to methodology to solve the problem. I don't see the methodology to solve some aspects of this problem. I think that this problem is unsolving.
Teşekkürler Gültekin Hocam. Evet, sevgili Salih Hocamızın sorusu üzerinde biraz daha belki detaylı çalışmalarla ancak cevaplanabilecek bir mahiyette. Bu isimlerden kaynaklı bir isim bir bölgeye bağlıysa oradaki müzik geleneklerinin şimdi devamlılığı o belki o isime ait Dastgah üzerinden tartışılabilir mi? Hani yapısında bir soru. Dolayısıyla evet, belirli bu konuda hani benzerlikler olduğuna dair fikirler var ama çok daha detaylı çalışmaların yapılması tabii ki şart. Değil mi değerli hocalarım, değerli katılımcılar? Belki bitirebiliriz. Halen sorunuz var ise tabii ki şu an alabiliriz. Ufak bir açıklama yapayım. Bundan sonraki etkinliğimizi de duyurayım. Bir sonraki etkinliğimizi 29 Nisan 2023 tarihinde Almanya Münster Üniversitesi Müzikoloji Bölümü tarafından yürütülen çok kıymetli Corpus Musicae Ottomanicae projesinde araştırma görevlisi ve müzik editörü olarak görev yapan Doktor Ersin Mıhçı'nın The Relationship Between Aruz and Usul in Ottoman Music başlıklı İngilizce sunumunu yine TUMAC'ımızın kanalından 34. etkinliğimiz olarak izleme fırsatı bulacağız. Bunu da duyurduktan sonra belki hocamız Gültekin Şamilli'ye tekrar söz verelim. Hocam, bir ekleyeceğiniz var mı? Çok teşekkür ediyoruz katılımınızdan dolayı. Şükranlarımızı arz ediyoruz. Çok keyifliydi sizinle tekrar birlikte olmak. Dolayısıyla hani bir ekleyeceğiniz bir söz varsa onu alabiliriz. Sonra da müsaadeniz olursa kapatabiliriz etkinliği.
Ben özlərin təşəkkürlərimi bildirmək istəyirdim hamımıza, Profesör Cenk Güray'a ve hanım Doktor Giultakin ve ben doğrudan da çok şadım ki bugünkü məruzə ve bugünkü hansısa bir kısa olarak fikir çerçevesinde ben sizinle görüştüm ve hansısa fikrimi sizinle bölüştürdüm. Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Thanks so very much for invitation me, for having me today. I'm happy to be with you on the TUMAC platform, and I hope to continue this topic in the theory of Dastgah, with several Dastgah, not historical but theoretical point of view, and I think that it will be very interesting to consider the modes of Dastgah and mode structures and a scientific experience in this field, which is very, very different and very interesting. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Professor Shamilli. At the soonest time possible, we'd like to invite you again for such a topic, for around the same topic of Dastgah. So it was an honor for us as the TUMAC family to have you as our guest today. And thank you very much for participation. Thanks a lot for Güzel Hoca for making it possible. And I want to thank to all the family of TUMAC to make this meeting technically possible, and for their very kind participation and questions. So I'd like to say good evening to everybody. Herkese iyi akşamlar diliyoruz. Katılımınız için şükranlarımızı arz ediyoruz. Etkinliğimiz 29 Nisan tarihinde Ersin Mıhçı hocamızın konuşmasıyla Relationship Between and Usul in Ottoman Music başlıklı konuşmasıyla tekrar birlikte olmak istiyoruz. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz. İyi akşamlar diliyoruz.